Hi everyone. I wanted to do a resin pour on this record, and I taped up the hole because I'm not going to make this into a clock or anything. I just wanted to do a resin round painting. I got a bunch of records on eBay because I thought they would be cool for clock rounds and random paintings, and even to practice some blooms on. And so I got this idea from Display of Colors channel. There was a pour that she did with resin, and she used an ultraviolet pigment background, and then she used interference colors on the top, and it was really beautiful. So that's what this started off being, is I was like, that's such a beautiful idea, I'm going to try that. And then I realized I really should have covered up this label and used a flat paint over it. And since I already had mixed up all this epoxy, I was not going to waste it. I was going to find a way to make it work. So I added a bunch of black pigment. I really should have just used a black base tint that's a lot more opaque, but I already had the pigment out, so I just added a whole bunch of pigment to some epoxy, and I poured over that, and I just left it really thick in the middle. And when I laid the pigment down and I hit it with the heat gun, I just didn't overwork that area. So it was because I didn't want to go all the way down to that label. So I knew if I was careful, I could probably get away with it. So I primarily used Colourarte's interference line, which those work with either acrylics or with epoxy, unlike the primary elements that do not necessarily work in epoxy. There are some ways that people make them work, but that they're not made for that. They're made for acrylic paint. But what's cool about the interference line is you can use them in either. So I primarily used those colors that Leslie has made, and then I added in some of my Woody's Goodies interference colors that really only show their true color on a dark base tint. So I thought it would be fun to use a little bit of those. They're like the chameleon colors or whatever, and a little bit goes a long way, so I just figured I would use very little and just kind of highlight and accent the colors. So you'll see that I just sort of put them down without a lot of rhyme or reason. I tend to do that squiggly thing a lot. I even tend to do that when my husband and I do like tabletops and stuff, but and then I just move it around with the heat. So I'm not really trying to go for design here. I'm just kind of covering the space. And then when you lightly hit it with the heat, those colors create cells and kind of interact with each other, which is a lot of fun. So this is a really fun way to play around with new pigments when you get them. I know I recently got a lot of Colourarte pigments and even some Woody's Goodies pigments, and sometimes I like to just do things on a maybe less expensive surface so that I can just play around with them and see what they look like, because I'm not always going to put them on a cup or something. So this is a fun way to try them out. What I like about this particular line is Leslie has one set that is like a kind of a pearl mica interference, and then she has some that are a sparkle set that have they're more of like an eco glitter type glitter interference. So I have the gold sparkle one, and then I have all the other ones, and so I'm using both in this. And I also have the Abalone shell, which is sort of a interference mixture of all of the colors, but it's sort of like really pearlescent and iridescent. It's really beautiful, so I use that one a lot. So I also use those colors in here. And so there's a interference gold, red, green, blue, and violet. And then you'll see I'll start to add in some of those other pigments that I have to fill in some of the places where there's less color. Like you can see that aqua looking color. That's one of those chameleon mixes that just a little bit goes a really long way, but it's a really beautiful color. And in a minute, we'll just heat it up and kind of see what happens. Now this would honestly be a really beautiful clock too. I just kind of deliberately covered up the hole. And records make great clocks because the hole on the inside of the middle of the record is almost the perfect size for a clock part. So that's a fun thing to do if you're experimenting and because wood rounds and those kinds of things can be very expensive. So anyway, I will do my best to remember to link Display of Colors channel, or that video specifically that I saw that I thought was so cool, because one day I am going to try it. And obviously this still turned out really fun, but it's not what I started off to do. I did put 2 clear coats of epoxy over the top. And honestly, the piece turned out beautifully. I'll be posting it on social media, so if you don't follow us, please consider doing that. It's in our description box below. And if you are a subscriber, thank you so much for continuing to watch and support our channel. We are really trying to grow our channel this year. And if you're not yet a subscriber, we would love it if you would subscribe and hit the notification bell and leave a comment and let us know what you think. We do both acrylic and fluid art. I'm a Tumblr artist as well. Sometimes my husband and I post our DIY projects. We recently did an interesting DIY project over the weekend. So we're working on editing that, and we'll be posting that. But this is a fun project for us to share. Now the heat gun I have listed below in the description box. It comes with a lot of different attachments. So this is a really good heat gun if you are going to do resin art, because those attachments help you achieve different results. And you can see as we manipulate that and move it around a little bit, it blends and really softens all those edges. And if you look up close, which is hard to see from this angle, you even get some cells and some way that those pigments react to each other. So I really love the way it turned out. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And again, we so appreciate your continued support, and we're really blessed to be part of an art community that is supportive of each other and celebrates the creativity of everyone around us. That's really encouraging, because all of us are still in process and still learning, and I love that we can all learn from each other and say, oh, that's a great idea. I really enjoyed that. I'm going to try that. And so thank you to Display of Color for giving me the idea. Have a great